Good evening everyone and welcome to another episode of Mise-En-Scene. I know I said that the second episode will be about cinematography, but let's do an in-betweener, in between. For this episode, let's talk about the difference between story and plot. A lot of people get these things confused when talking about a film or even making a film. Plot is the timeline of events through which the story is told. Plot exists within story. Plot is what happens. Story is what everything is all about. The plot can be seen physically. Story has to do with theme and meaning. Plot is everything surrounding the character, location, supporting characters, etc. Story is for a character. You know that cliched quote, everyone has a story? Everyone in this sentence is a character. The plot can be manipulated, but the story cannot. The story always takes place chronologically. The plot, not necessarily. You need an example? Watch this film. Or this film. Or this film. The sequence in which these films are told is not traditional, yet we can piece the story together in our brains chronologically. In a plot, it's really important you only keep the main parts of the story required to tell your story. Anything less or extra will have a negative or positive impact in your film, but mostly negative. Let's take Independence Day 2. How many useless scenes or things were in that film? The story of that film is basically the world putting aside their differences to work together. How did Judd Hirsch's character add to that film? What did Brent Spiner do that aided that story? What about the useless cast of kid actors? All those subplots are not important or relevant either, which makes the audiences yawn. Angrily yawn. Let's take a look at some good movies. It's always fun talking about a good film. Mad Max Fury Road, another action film. The story is about a man overcoming his demons and, like Independence Day, learning to work with others and trust others. There's nothing extra or missing in this film. We learn everything about Max's physical and internal conflict, and by the end of the film we have a resolution for our character and the story surrounding him. Now let me pitch you a similar story to Mad Max Fury Road. A man goes through a physical and existential journey to overcome his demons. Now tell me what films come to your mind with that story. The two films I can think of are The Bourne Supremacy and The Wolverine. They're the same story and they have scenes which are incredibly similar. Near the end, when they both do the right thing and confess their feelings and secrets. Are they the same films, however? No. Both films have the same story but different plot. Bourne's demons stem from his first kill, Logan's from his immortality and love life. They both gain closure, but their journeys are different. The plot in The Bourne Supremacy involves Bourne clearing his name.
You know my file. I did a job here. When?
No, you never worked in Berlin.
My first job in Berlin. I did a job here. You know my file.
Plot in The Wolverine involves Wolverine losing his powers and regaining them. These are both great films, by the way. The Wolverine gets a really bad rep for some reason because the third act does go full cartoon in what's a pretty mature film. It's a film, however, made with care and admiration for the character of Logan. Both Jean Grey scenes have the same dialogue in the beginning and the end, delivered by different characters. So yeah, I'm just saying, give that movie another chance. James Mangold knows how to make a film, guys. So yeah, check out both films. If you give a room full of writers a simple story, I guarantee you, each of them will come up with something different. Let's try another story. A regular guy leaves his average life to fulfill his destiny. Tell me what films come to your mind with that story. I'll list some. Star Wars, The Matrix, and Wanted. Again, completely different characters, different settings, different worlds. All of this just proves how important building character is in a film. The Martian and Castaway are the same story in my opinion. However, Mark Watney and Chuck Noland are very well developed characters and have their reasons to get back home. Chuck has a personal reason to get back to civilization, and Mark Watney is against the clock to get back. Now let's talk about both of them working separately and working together. Just because you have a good story outlined doesn't necessarily mean you'll have a good plot either. Let's take that average guy story again and see some bad films. However, A good plot will most likely give you a good story. It gets interesting. Let's talk about how filmmakers fail to understand the differences between, the really simple differences between story and plot, or how they have failed to dust off their screenwriting books. And I'm only going to give one example. Let's talk about Terminator Genesis of last year. The Terminator franchise, the first 3 films, hell even the 4th one, were not about time travel. They used the time travel plot to tell a story about a chosen one, destiny, fate, and love. Terminator Genesis, on the other hand, tells us a story about time travel. That film is so fucking bad and embarrassing to watch since there's nothing going on in it. The film has no deeper meaning, and audiences aren't interested in listening to dialogue about time travel. If they were, Primer would have been a massive hit. Hell, Looper is more of a Terminator movie than Terminator Genesis. So before wrapping this up, people, I hope this little video has helped you differentiate between plot and story. For film students before they go into their next screenwriting class, and for filmmakers and screenwriters who need to take a screenwriting class. And when you're asked by your teacher to define the difference between story and plot, feel free to reference this video, people.